fighter. Particularly good 1-2, even though she's not that tall. She gets really good extension on it. So she's boxed really well throughout the course of this competition so far.
POONAM is... Well, she's making her way to the boxing ring now. And my goodness, she is a handful because she's a pressure boxer, as so many of the Indian boxers we've seen here at Kielce 2021, but because she can also box. So you'd call her really a box fighter. She's got a stoppage here. First round stoppage as well in the round of 16, where she was absolutely devastating against Beata Varga of Hungary. The Hungarian boxer never had time to get into the tournament because she had a bye in the opening round. Bell rang for round 1 and POONAM was on her in a flash. Blam, blam, blam. The fight was over. And then since then, she's produced composed, skillful performances to prevail over Nazirka Sarik in the quarterfinals, eliminating Setora Turdibekova in the semi-finals, and here she is in the gold medal bout, preparing for a 5th contest. Very good boxer indeed, and she packs quite a punch as well.
So here comes GROSY, as mentioned. Interesting point you make there about somebody coming in having had a bye and boxing someone who's already had a fight. I've generally found from the fights I've seen that that's a disadvantage.
Man.
It's a disadvantage. You can argue they'll be fresher, but they're just not quite in the groove. GROSY found her groove right away against Katarina Bodnarchuk of Ukraine. Very impressive in that fight. And then in the quarterfinal had Julia Jeremetra of Poland, who was in form, boxing well, and got past her. That was a high pressure kind of situation. Then caught Cancun of Thailand in the semi-finals. She's boxed in the European Youths before this, GROSY, but didn't too well. So this is her first real breakthrough. Judges there: Sri Lanka, USA, Poland, Bulgaria, and Kazakhstan. 57 kilos, women's featherweight division. POONAM of India looking to try and make it 3 out of 3. Should have watched the two teammates achieve success, and as I said, when Chanu came to the ring, having watched Gitika win, for POONAM, having watched both of them win, or being aware that both of them have won, it does put you under that little bit more pressure now. You don't want to be the first person not to win, do you?
Some of the AIBA boxers I've got to know over the years, when you did have dominant nations, they've told me that if you were the guy who went back, the man or woman who went back with a silver, and your other 8 or 9 teammates have got gold, it's a little bit of a difficult environment to be in for those who come up on anything other than the top spot.
It would just be incredibly awkward, wouldn't it? So here we go. Referee about to signal for the bell to toll, and this is the 57 kilo final. POONAM of India in the red, GROSY of France in the blue, just standing off each other early stages there. POONAM looking for the left hand. GROSY pecks with the jab. As I said, she gets good extension on her 1-2. She's not particularly tall, but it's one of those situations where it generally manages to travel a bit further than her opponent is probably expecting. You've seen it a couple of times there, and POONAM has managed to avoid it, but it's a real kind of lancing backhand. Quite cagey to start. No one really wants to commit too much. I like these kinds of fights where people are just skirting around the borderline of range. They could both reach each other from there. POONAM on the inside, lets her hands go, got through with a couple, but GROSY countered her at least once there, then did find the target with that 1-2. If she gets that going, gets that jab going, then POONAM has got some problems here. POONAM with a low lead hand, just kind of shuffling into range, takes the feet back there as GROSY herself just looked to shut down that distance and move in a touch. Just over a minute into round 1, and we've spoken already about how important the scoring of round 1 is. Jab there from GROSY, did get through. Short right hand from POONAM as GROSY was backing off towards the ropes. The referee giving them a good chance just to work their way out there as they dropped into the clinch. Just stooping with the right hand there. They caught the jab on the way in there, POONAM. GROSY just firing that one off effectively, heading towards the final minute. And another good jab there from the from the French fighter, who's shading this opener, I would say, at the moment. Looking for the right hand. Caught a left, though, there, GROSY, from POONAM. He just dips in and out with that front foot, looking to try and draw something from GROSY, who obliges and then just slides away to her left-hand side. This hasn't been quite as high octane as the other fights we've seen so far, but it's a good technical contest between two fighters with differing styles. POONAM did well there, found the right hand, and then towards the end of the round here, looks to try and let her hands go, having some good success up in the blue corner there, and she's connected with 4 or 5 good punches and having a very strong finish to the round here, POONAM, and that can maybe turn it around for her. GROSY, after a couple of minutes, I felt was ahead. I think she picked her punches that little bit better, but POONAM with an all-out assault there, which is very memorable for the judges, and particularly towards the end of a round, that can be important. The right hand got through there from POONAM again, who's just bouncing gloves off GROSY's head, and she shakes her head there, GROSY, but it's a standing count from the referee. And what a finish to the round here from POONAM, who bided her time, and then just a couple of times there, managed to manoeuvre GROSY back into the corner. And when she got her back in the corner, she unloaded. Probably about 50% of what she threw got through, which is a high percentage anyway. And she's nicked the round there. I say nicked it, but you know what I mean, because I think GROSY was up and then she just took it away from her.
I agree with you entirely, Andy. GROSY was quicker to the punch over the first 2 minutes 20 or so, but then POONAM landed a shot which caused GROSY to become a little bit wide-eyed, and I don't know whether she sensed that response. I assume that she did up in the boxing ring, but this was the type of pressure. Look at that, GROSY becoming completely disorganized, turning her back, and I think that is going to be really significant in this contest, because POONAM was trying to box. I characterized her as a box fighter, but it looked like the fighting, taking it to her opponents, is what's proving to be more effective against the quick-fisted GROSY.
Good round, good opening round. And it's just an example of how quickly things can change. And as Ron outlined at the start, the judges at ringside are looking to interpret dominance. It's all about what has happened over the balance of these 3 individual 3-minute fights. That's how they judge it. And 10-9s across the board there for POONAM, who's just looking to try and step on GROSY a bit at the start of round 2 and see if she can pick up where she left off. She could see there at the end of the round when she got on top of her. She wasn't distressed, GROSY, exactly, but it's just very, very difficult to deal with. And GROSY now is having to dig her toes in a little bit more, a punch with more authority to try and keep POONAM off. In the first 2 minutes of that opening round, she circled around the outside. She found some nice 1-2s, but POONAM's confidence is up now. And that's the problem that GROSY has got. POONAM feels she can get onto the inside, and that when she gets there, she can do some damage. And it's an interesting kind of heat that she brings. It's a technique that we've seen from a few of the Indian fighters this week. A purist, if you adhere to the most traditional coaching manual, would say that they do quite a lot wrong because the feet cross, but they're short little steps, so they've always got their feet under them, they've always got their balance, and the fists just travel a short distance, straight punches, so they find the target really, really quickly. And with that blurry kind of hand speed, it's just very difficult to get out of the way. Some will bounce off the gloves, others will get through. Midway point of the contest, halfway through round 2. Just shaping with the right hand there, GROSY. Didn't quite manage to get there with it. Good jab there, though, from the French fighter. POONAM looking for the 1-2, didn't get it. And GROSY, if she can maybe look to try and take a bit of charge in the second half of this round. There isn't too much in it. Into the final minute, she needs this second round, though. She badly needs this second round. POONAM just caught one on the chin there as she was trying to follow GROSY in. Indian fighter in red gets through with a left hand.
Blue, holding.
Just standing off each other. GROSY, I think, needs to force the issue a bit here towards the end of the round. POONAM just jabbing to the chest. A vastly underrated tool. Sets your opponent off balance, makes him start again. Left hand there from POONAM. I don't think really caught Grossi absolutely clean. 2-3 punches there. I think the second just snuck in around the back of the guard. The closing stages of round 2. POONAM short with the 1-2, but she didn't go reaching for it, just brought those gloves back. A tight around this one. Grossi badly needs it. For me, I probably don't think she's going to get it.
I'm inclined to agree. POONAM taking it 10-9 for all 5 scoring judges, so she has taken the first 2 rounds, 2018, with just 1 round to go. And the way this woman boxes, there's going to have to be a drastic change because she needs a big round. Remember, we said Aiba's interpretation of the 10-point must system: 10-9 for a close round, 10-8 for a clear round, 10-7 for total domination. And Grossi needs one of the latter 2, but she likes to take her time and pick her punches. Very efficient boxer, but she's going to need work rate and she's going to need domination if she hopes to overturn the deficit that she finds herself facing with 6 minutes in the book. I think it's a really tall order for her now because she's got to box in a tenor that really isn't what she's practiced or what she's most comfortable at.
Absolutely right, absolutely right. In other contests like this, sometimes I've seen a fighter who is capable of bringing the heat in the final round, and they've been up against an opponent who's been warned a few times of various things, so at that point you still give them a chance because you think they can win the round and there might be a deduction. But we've got the opposite of that here because POONAM's not had any kind of warnings, and Grossi, as you say, you outlined her style there perfectly. She looks to pick her punches, looks to take her time and settle into that nice kind of rhythm. And she was basically thrown out of that rhythm at the end of round 1, and that had a real effect on her because in the second round you could see that she wasn't wary, might not be quite the right word, but to a degree it does describe, I think, her frame of mind. And POONAM again just looking to try and get on the front foot, a little bit short with the jab, just dipping in with that lead foot, trying to draw something from Grossi, who looks to try and shoot the jab, trading jab. She's got nice fast hands, Grossi, but a jabbing contest in round 3 is no good for her. At some point she's just going to have to step in and risk taking a few, because if she's going to turn this around, as Ron said, she needs a big round. Just waving that right hand a little bit wide there. POONAM is a kind of distraction, right hand to the body. Cuffing right hand came back from Grossi. Fairly quiet opening last round. Good left hand there from POONAM, who's boxing sensibly here. She doesn't need to go crazy. She's 2 rounds to the good up. The corner will know that. They have screens in the corner where they get the scores right at the very start of the 3 minutes, of the minute rather, between rounds. You never know exactly how much they communicate to the actual fighter, but POONAM's just boxing kind of within herself a little bit here. I think she knows that she doesn't necessarily have to force this. Grossi does, looks for the hook, and POONAM just slips to her left and throws a kind of screw shot into the mix, which finds the chin of Grossi. Again, a jab to the chest there from POONAM as we head into the final minute. Good head movement there from POONAM on the inside. Did well just to roll away to her right. So it's closing stages of round 1, I think, that were the key seconds of this fight. POONAM got through, maybe just buzzed Grossi a bit as well, which can always be a possibility. And since then, the French fighter has really struggled to hit any kind of stride, any kind of groove. So it looks very much like it is going to be 3 out of 3 for India, which is absolutely amazing, really, the success they've had in the women's section during the course of this competition. So closing seconds of the women's featherweight final. And POONAM just boxing, as I say, boxing sensibly in that final round. She knew she had that one under control, and maybe we could have expected a little bit more there from Grossi, but as I said, I think from the end of round 1, the way that round ended, I think from that point onwards, she was just a little bit apprehensive. And we
good reason, because Poonam is a heavy-handed individual, and when you possess that type of power, it can change the mind of your opponent. Not saying that that's what happened, but again, given the context of the bout going into the final round, it was all against GROSY. The patient boxer would have had to be the aggressor or land a single shot knockout.
So ladies and gentlemen, in this bout, win on points with the unanimous decision. From the red corner, POONAM, India.
Red corner, as we knew it would be, and that's the hat-trick for India, and 3-0 on all of the judges' scorecards, and a fairly straightforward fight to score. The first round was the tightest, but as said, she just upped the gas and took it away from Sthelyne.